Good morning, America. New this morning, Cuba's future. What's ahead for the country following Fidel Castro's death? The nation in mourning. The celebrations here and the political fallout. President Obama criticized for his statements, the backlash this morning, and the warnings.
Role is as repressive.
Wisconsin recount, Hillary Clinton's campaign joining in. Green Party candidate Jill Stein pushing the move, already taking aim in two other key states. Donald Trump blasting it all. We'll tell you what's at stake.
And your Cyber Monday cheat sheet. Becky Worley joins us live with a guide to the biggest holiday sales online. No matter what's on your list, don't click until you see our report.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Good morning, everyone. We do thank you for joining us on a Sunday morning. We start with Fidel Castro, as controversial in death as he was in life.
Exactly. We want to show you some contrasting front pages here. This is from a pro-Castro paper in Cuba. The headline reads, "Toward victory, always, Fidel." And this is the front page of the Miami Herald with just one word, dead.
And we want to show you some scenes that could not be any more different. They were partying in the streets overnight in Miami's Little Havana neighborhood for a second straight night. This as some prominent Republicans are lashing out at President Obama for allegedly, quote, showering love on Castro in his official White House statement.
So many questions swirling right now about the future of Cuba and the future of America's relationship with Cuba. We have team coverage this morning, and we're going to begin with ABC's Jim Avila, who's on the ground in Havana. Jim, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dan and Paula. Cubans on both sides of the Florida Straits have been waiting 40 years for this day. Rumors always fly about Fidel's death, some hoping his demise would lead to another revolution here. But there's no sign of that. It's all quiet, subdued, nothing spontaneous in view as the island waits for Monday's services to say its long goodbye. This morning, the Cuban flag flying at half-staff in Havana as the country begins an official 9 days of mourning for Fidel Castro. Students at the University of Havana, where their education is free, apparently overcome with emotion. This Cuban woman calling the revolutionary leader's death painful, saying Castro helped the people. Sentiments echoed by one of the country's most famous young men, Elian Gonzalez, once the center of an international custody battle between the U.S. and Cuba.
Fidel began to be that father like all who start off as fathers. But the difficult thing is for a father to become a friend.
The news announced by Fidel's brother Raul on state television late Friday night. Castro's body is set to be cremated and his ashes taken on a 3-day journey across the country before his burial on December 4th. A service Fidel's estranged sister Juanita Castro, who lives in the U.S., will not be attending. On Saturday, Castro dividing world leaders in death as he did in life. This morning, President Obama under fire from conservatives for not including a single reference to Castro's record of human rights abuses in his 200-plus words, in which he notes the enormous impact of this singular figure who altered the course of the Cuban nation. Some in the Cuban-American exile community in the United States, including Florida Senator Marco Rubio, calling the president's choice of words pathetic, a sentiment shared by Texas Senator Ted Cruz, who referred to Castro as a murderer and a thug. And President-elect Donald Trump calling Castro a brutal dictator, while promising to do all he can to ensure Cuba's prosperity and liberty. Now, back in the day, Castro was a firebrand, once delivering a 7-hour harangue against the U.S. But in the last decade, after severe stomach illness that left him frail, he rarely spoke in public and delivered only rambling essays in the state newspaper, still suspicious to the end of the Americans and the new era of diplomacy. Dan?
Jim Avila in Cuba for us this morning. The reaction in South Florida, radically different from what we've been seeing in Cuba. In Little Havana, home to so many people who fled Castro's regime, celebrations and hope for a very different Cuba moving forward. ABC's Gio Benitez is in Miami with that part of the story. Gio, good morning to you.
Dan, good morning. These celebrations are filled with passion because so many people here were forced to leave their homeland some 50 to 60 years ago. This is the epicenter of America's Cuban exile community, Florida's Little Havana. Hundreds taking to the streets, some taking to their balconies, banging pots, making noise to celebrate a turning page in Cuban history. These people here are marching with that giant Cuban flag, chanting, "Cuba yes, Castro no." For them, this is about hope for the future of Cuba.
It's something like goosebumps. And I'm not happy because somebody died. Death. It's not about that. It's about changing hope that something's going to happen.
Gladys Falcone left communist Cuba as a child, but many celebrating here were born in this country, their Cuban ancestors not living to see a Cuba without Fidel Castro.
I feel for people who lost loved ones, who did not see this, that's why I'm here, to honor those folks.
The passing of a man exiles considered a brutal dictator, offering a glimpse of hope, even as his younger brother still rules the nation and carries on many of the regime's practices toward dissenters and political prisoners.
Raul is as repressive, and they're not about to give up easily what they've had for nearly 6 decades.
Still, Cuban Americans hold on to that idea that someday the Cuba they once knew will be within reach.
We lost our country. Maybe we're going to get it back now, soon, and I'm hoping for that.
And here in Little Havana, we can tell you that these celebrations happen in front of one legendary Cuban restaurant. It's called Versailles. This really became the heart of the Cuban exile community, where these exiles would come and talk about their pain and their strength, Paula.
But Gio, you can see the hope and relief on so many of their faces, and we're going to check in with you for some heartwarming stories a little bit later in the show. Thank you, Gio. Well, Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign is now saying that it is actively participating in the recount initiated by Green Party candidate Jill Stein in Wisconsin. And we'll do the same if audits are opened in other states. And ABC's Gloria Rivera is in Washington with more on the reasons behind this decision and the immediate backlash from Donald Trump. Good morning, Gloria.
Good morning, Paula. Well, the Green Party has raised millions of dollars for this recount effort. And while Hillary Clinton has not weighed in personally, her legal team says it will also participate in battleground states Pennsylvania and Michigan, if that's where Jill Stein does take this next.
We must accept this result and then look to the future.
Less than 3 weeks after Hillary Clinton's crushing defeat to President-elect Donald Trump, her team now announcing it's entering the fray of a Wisconsin recount. An effort pushed by Green Party candidate Jill Stein.
There were lots of hacks taking place around this election.
Clinton's general counsel Mark Elias says the campaign has received hundreds of messages, emails, and calls asking for hacking claims to be investigated. Writing in a blog post Saturday, Elias says, because we had not uncovered any actionable evidence of hacking or outside attempts to alter the voting technology, we had not planned to exercise this option ourselves. Adding now that Wisconsin's recount is officially underway, Clinton staffers intend to participate to ensure fairness.
It's a rigged election, believe me.
Trump widely criticized for stoking fears about the election's integrity.
And we know it's a rigged system.
1.8 million dead people are registered to vote.
Now the president-elect accusing Stein of using the fight as a fundraiser. And in a tweet this morning, Trump going after Clinton, saying she conceded the election when she called me just prior to the victory speech. And after the results were in, nothing will change. Here in Washington, a senior administration official has said the White House did not observe or uncover any malicious cyber activity aimed at modifying election results. President-elect Donald Trump calling the entire recount effort a scam. Dan, Paula.
Gloria, thank you. Let's bring in ABC's Martha Raddatz, who's also in Washington, where she's going to be hosting this week later this morning. Martha, good morning.
Good morning.
So the Clinton campaign has acknowledged that they have not seen any evidence of hacking and that there's very little chance that this recount could change the outcome. So why bother, especially given that this process has real potential to stir up some difficult emotions?
Well, in the Clinton camp's words, they're not bothering. Jill Stein is. Clinton's lawyers said that they did not plan on seeking a recount, but now that it's underway, they want to participate to make sure that the process is, quote, fair to all sides and that they're represented in any legal proceedings.
So you say this is all on Jill Stein. Then I got to ask, why is Jill Stein, who got less than 1% of the vote nationally, why is she leading the charge on this, given that she has so little to gain? And is she somehow doing Team Clinton's bidding?
Well, Paula, Jill Stein's doing it because of this. Right now, we're talking about her and her party, the Green Party, 3 weeks after the election. But to be fair, Stein says they're doing it to ensure fair elections and promote reforms. But the publicity doesn't hurt, especially as millions of dollars pour into the Green Party to support the recount effort.
Yeah, no such thing as bad publicity. Rule number
That's
one
right.
in PR, right? Well, we know that Ted Cruz is on your show today, Martha. He's been extremely critical of President Obama for, quote, showering love on Castro. Why do you think that President Obama worded his statement the way that he did?
Well, I think to President Obama, an important part of his legacy is reestablishing diplomatic relations with Cuba. Like the Iran deal, it's a cornerstone of his foreign policy, and it's actually something he campaigned on back in 2008, promising to sit down with America's enemies. So it's clear the statement is part of his effort to keep warming relations with Cuba. But to many, including Ted Cruz, not mentioning any of the atrocities of Castro's regime is naive at best and offensive at worst. Dan and Paula.
Yeah, he talks about the enormous impact of Castro and that he altered the course of the Cuban nation. You can understand how it would be offensive for some. Well, Martha, thank you. We know you have a big show coming up this morning.
We'll see you later.
Sounds good, Martha. She's going to be talking with Donald Trump's senior advisor, Kellyanne Conway, Senator Ted Cruz, and Senator Bernie Sanders. Plus, she will have more on the world's reaction to the death of Fidel Castro. It's all coming up on This Week right here on ABC with the one and only Martha Raddatz.
Indeed. We're going to move on now, though, to the new information we're getting this morning in the case of the woman described as a supermom. Sherry Papini found alive on the side of a country road in California 3 weeks after she vanished while on a jog. ABC's Nick Watt is on the story this morning in Redding, California. Nick, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dan. Well, right now authorities are searching for two Hispanic women driving a dark-colored SUV. That is the description of her captors that Papini has given authorities. And we're also hearing for the first time radio traffic from the first officer on the scene when she was found. The 34-year-old mom found on a rural roadside in Northern California. It's 4:30 a.m. Thanksgiving morning. A driver had spotted Papini and dialed 911.
Advised if you're a female screaming in ear. CHP is advising she is heavily battered, and it is confirmed kidnapping. I'll send a phone number for you. I need to call her husband.
California Highway Patrol was able to connect Sherry with her husband by cellular phone almost immediately.
She and Keith have been reunited.
Papini vanished while jogging 3 weeks ago. Her husband called the cops when she failed to pick up their kids from daycare. Later, authorities say he found her phone and headphone earbuds with strands of her hair on a roadside near their home, 150 miles from where Papini was found early Thursday morning.
Sometimes those littlest, finest details can be a major break in the case.
Authorities are now examining Papini's clothing and those restraints, searching for any DNA evidence that might lead them to her kidnappers. And the Sheriff's Department is also analysing cell tower data, and they hope to interview Papini again soon once she's decompressed a little more. All we know so far is she says she did not know the women who she says took her captive. Dan and Paula, they were strangers to her.
Baffling case.
Yeah. Very baffling, Nick. Thank you.
Anyway, something happy. I have some good news, some happy news to lighten the mood a little bit. So one hallmark of most bar mitzvahs is the generosity of the guests. But an El Paso teen is making headlines for his generosity by turning his bar mitzvah into a fundraiser and his passion for sneakers into an extraordinary act of kindness.
I've always had a love for sneakers.
It's no surprise that for his bar mitzvah, Drew Frank wanted lots of sneakers. But it's what he did with those sneakers that's proving he's no ordinary 13-year-old.
I got donations from my bar mitzvah to pay for all of these. The smiles on their faces were amazing when I gave it to them.
Raking in over $25,000 in cash donations,
Drew gave it all to the Braden Abood Foundation. He says it was enough for 800 pairs of sneakers and more than 400 pairs of socks for students in need at local elementary schools.
It was an amazing feeling to give back to them.
The Braden Abood Foundation is volunteering it, orchestrating it, organizing it, but it's all his donations.
And while Drew didn't keep his gifts, he still enjoyed an amazing party.
Welcome to my man Drew's mitzvah celebration.
The whole thing was a Jordan lover's dream, complete with sneaker centerpieces, huge Nike ice sculptures, and even an edible high-top cake.
My friends are very supportive of this, and they all came and they all helped me out.
And Drew's not done yet. He says he and his brother are opening a sneaker store for the holidays and hoping to donate 10% of the proceeds toward giving more sneakers to students in need.
That's cool. That's very nice. My parents kept most of my bar mitzvah money.
Smart parents.
I need to address that with
Have you got it back? Have you gotten it back?
Claimed it?
Yeah, I think maybe when they pay for college, that made up for it.
I think
Maybe.
so.
Mhm.
But he's 13 years old. His
I know.
brothers are 12 and 8.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm feeling like a slacker this morning reading this
He's
story. I don't know
incredible.
about you.
He's incredible.
Right.
Kudos to his parents for instilling that generosity in their children.
And not taking his money.
Right. Dan still bitter. Mr. and Mrs. Harris pay
Almost
out.
like, this is my football.
It's therapy.
But first, here, the massive manhunt right now for 2 escaped prisoners.
They broke out of a county jail in California just before Thanksgiving, and there has been no sign of them since. Authorities are calling them dangerous and desperate. At ABC's Eva Pilgrim is here with an exclusive look at how they managed to break out. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning. Investigators are struggling to figure out how these inmates escaped. There are no security cameras outside that wing of the jail, but this morning, new details. These guys had an audience, people who stayed behind. Not everyone in that cell tried to get out.
2 fugitives described by cops as dangerous are on the run after a daring jailbreak in San Jose, California. This morning, ABC News getting an exclusive look inside their cell.
These are pretty tough and pretty strong. That's why I'm so surprised that they were able to cut through it.
These are the bars left behind by Rogelio Chavez and LaRon Campbell, part of a group of 4 inmates who orchestrated a getaway late Wednesday night, cutting through the window of their cell, rappelling down 2 stories by tying together a series of blankets and bed sheets left dangling alongside the building.
You can see where the bars are missing, and you can see also they cut one of the horizontal supports and then pushed the window out, and the window is still hanging there.
The other 2 prisoners involved in the escape quickly captured by deputies patrolling the area, but Chavez and Campbell have evaded the massive search for 3 days.
These are dangerous people that are out there.
The window now boarded up, this room empty, but the night of the escape, it housed 20 inmates. Only 4 tried to get away. The other 16 stayed behind.
If there are 20 people in a dormitory and they were cutting the bars, you know that other people had to know.
But investigators say no one is talking, offering no details on the escape plan.
And the sheriff saying she's pretty sure they had to use a metal tool to cut that window, making it really hard to believe that those other 16 guys didn't hear or see a thing. She's determined to find these 2 who face a range of charges from burglary to firearm violations, but no one's talking.
Interesting. They didn't want to break another law by escaping with the other guys, but they also won't help them get caught.
Curious to see how much pressure they're putting on them.
I'm sure there's an enormous amount of pressure. Thank you, Eva. There are countless stories of the Castro regime's oppression of its own people, families torn apart by tyranny.
Powerful stories. This morning, we're hearing from 2 women who lived through it. Though many years have passed, the pain is still very fresh in their minds. So let's go back to ABC's Gio Benitez in Miami. Gio, good morning.
Hey there, Paula and Dan. Under the Castro regime, these 2 women were just children when their world and lives were turned upside down. This is a champagne bottle Rebecca Sosa has waited decades to open, a gift from her late father.
And it was hidden for all those years, open only when Fidel died.
Fidel Castro's death was highly anticipated, wished for, in no small part because of the pain when families were forced to split. Sosa shares the moment when she, just 8 years old at the time, said goodbye to her beloved father, a political prisoner in Cuba.
They took my father out in the balcony across the street, and all I could do was, bye, Papi.
What was going through your mind during that moment? I mean, you were so young.
That is what hurt so much, when I felt that I was not going to see him anymore.
Today in Florida, she's a county commissioner, still struggling with memories of her young life in Cuba.
I couldn't understand why I couldn't express my opinions, or why I couldn't say that I believe in God.
Childhood trauma defining a generation. Dr. Maria Gondra, now a psychotherapist, remembers it well. At 11 years old, she left Cuba without her parents on what's been dubbed the Peter Pan flights. Those parents sending their kids to America when a bright future couldn't be guaranteed.
I remember when I was leaving my house, kissing all my dolls, and saying goodbye to, everybody. I'm going to start to cry.
More than 14,000 children on those Peter Pan flights. And there was one thing they wanted me to say. These two women say they are fiercely American. They are so grateful for what this country gave them. Dan and Paula.
Gio Benitez, thank you very much for your reporting this morning. We really appreciate it.
A lot of people waiting for tomorrow. That's because it's Cyber Monday. Millions of folks are looking to bag a bargain online. One of those shoppers is our deal hunting maven, Becky Worley, who's here to run us through the best things to buy. Becky, thanks for joining us. So it is Cyber Monday, so can we start with electronics?
Yeah, good morning, Paula. Good news. Electronics deals, great. Cyber Monday is the day to get a deal. We'll start with this on Android phones, especially unlocked phones. We're seeing gift cards and discounts, also external hard drives. Come on, you got to back up your data. Now you can do it for less. Here's the pro tip, though. The big chains will have good deals, but also check out the tech specialty sites. I'm talking about Adorama, Newegg, Tiger Direct, Monoprice.com. They have an HDMI cable for 99 cents. Another one, BH Photo, $500 off of a Nikon camera and lens. Lots of these deals are live now, Paula.
I bought that camera for a lot more last year. Thanks, Becky. You also say that this is a really good time to stock up on those everyday essentials, too.
No doubt about it. We're going to start with Target. Today, going through Monday, their entire store and website, 15% off. Let's move on to clothes. Chains like Old Navy, Levi's, they're going to blanket discount the entire site, 40, 50% off. I mean, in my house, my son's pant legs are up around his shins, so I'm going to inventory the kids' clothes now and shop tomorrow. Finally, beauty. Makeup does not really go on sale very often, but this is the one day where we expect to see bundled sample packs and BOGOs. I don't need to run you through these shopping acronyms. Buy one, get one deals, Paula. Big deal.
Hey, because YOLO, you only live once, right?
Right.
You mentioned
get a BOGO for your YOLO.
And when to buy toys. Any deals right now?
We usually say wait until right before Christmas because that's when the deals get sweeter. But Guru's this year saying snap up the toy deals now. I saw the Sphero BB-8 droid $50 off at Best Buy. And especially on Cyber Monday, Amazon rolling out their flash sales, including toys. It's really worth checking in there to see what's available.
Sounds like there's going to be some Cyber Monday madness thanks to our Maven, Becky. We always love having you. And we're going to be right back with Pop News.
Time now for Pop News. Diane Macedo, ace ABC News reporter. What's poppin'?
What an intro. Thanks, Dan. So we're going to start things off this morning with the Gilmore Girls because fans of the show are at a loss for words over the series' last 4 words. So for years, Amy Sherman-Palladino teased that there were 4 specific words she wanted to end the series with, and fans couldn't wait to finally hear them in the revival Gilmore Girls: A Year in the Life. Well, now, some are satisfied, some are angry, but just about everyone is shocked. Sherman-Palladino says it was such an emotional moment that only the chaos that comes with working on a TV set kept it from becoming a behind-the-scenes, quote, sob fest. So you probably all now want to know,
Yes.
What were the final words?
What were the final 4 words, Diane?
I'm sorry, I've been told that I can't spoil it for you, so you're going to have to watch
Embargoed.
for yourself.
Not even embargoed. It's available. It's publicly available.
Yeah, you will have to go on Netflix, I suppose, and watch it. That's
Well, this will be the first
I don't
time
make
I
the
think
rules,
any
I'm
of us
just
have
playing
ever
by
watched
them.
the show.
Not paying $9
I'll
a
whisper
month.
it to you a little bit later.
Okay.
Maybe this will give you a little bit more of a payoff. Star Wars fans were treated to a Thanksgiving weekend surprise, a brand new Rogue One trailer. Take a look.
I'll be there for you. The captain said I had to.
Gentlemen.
The power that we are dealing with here is immeasurable. I will not fail.
The new and final sneak peek has already racked up more than 800,000 views on YouTube. Fans are especially excited about the new droid K2SO, and they won't have to wait very much longer. Advanced ticket sales begin at midnight in most areas, and Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, hits theaters on December 16th.
I'm excited about this.
Dan's thumping his tail.
Yeah, it's not. I'm thumping my tail, and it's not just because it's produced by Disney, our parent company, which writes our paychecks. I actually think it's going to be a really good movie.
This is the first one where they're really focusing on normal people as opposed to the Jedi, people with the Force.
Jedis are normal people. What are you talking about?
Jedis are people too.
They are. They have emotions.
Rob is still waiting for the Chewbacca origins.
It's still a mystery to me.
Chewbacca as a baby. Chewbacca as a surly teen.
I want the truth about Chewbacca.
I'll write a strongly worded letter for you, Rob, on that note. And Tom Hanks is finally settling a debate that's been burning up the internet. It all started a few years ago when Laura DiMichelle Ross posted this photo to the group Reasons My Son is Crying. Well, the photo has since resurfaced with viewers completely divided over the fundamental question: is this a photo of Tom Hanks
Bill Murray.
or Bill Murray?
Tom Hanks.
Well, you might
totally
you might want to look at it for a while and come up with your answer.
It's
Definitely Tom Hanks.
All right, well, now we finally have the answer. On the Graham Norton show, Hank said it definitely was not him.
What?
That's right.
That is incorrect.
But because he's Tom Hanks and he's awesome, he actually made his own hilarious version with two other guests, Gemma Arterton and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Check it out.
Down you go. There you go. You squeeze in.
Like that.
Yeah, like that, smiling. Okay, and now, there you go. That is really good.
So there you have it, mystery solved. Some investigative journalism for you.
That's Bill Murray?
That is Bill Murray, you guys.
It's Bill Murray. The funny thing was, I posted
the eyes.
This the original photo on Twitter a while back when it came out, and people were so sure when their answers. Obviously, it's Tom Hanks. I mean, people were so.
I believe it is Tom
It was like the dress over and over, all over again.
It's not Tom Hanks.
Both handsome men.
Ron and I are going to start our own Grassy Knoll website on this.
And many now wondering what to do with their Thanksgiving leftovers.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to be limited to just turkey sandwich. I have brought you all some special Taiwanese dumplings from Mimi Chang's here in New York City. They're filled with turkey, stuffing, gravy, and mashed potatoes, as well as a house-made cranberry sauce on the side. An entire Thanksgiving meal in just one bite.
You should just have this on
is
Thanksgiving
terrific.
What's
instead
better than
of
that?
turkey and mashed potatoes and
Look
gravy.
at this. I'm going
dumplings.
I'm
You gotta
going
somehow
finger
fit
food.
it
Is
in
that
the
all right?
dumpling.
No, you can.
I don't recognize the cranberry sauce without the rigors.
Or you want some sauce?
No, we
All right.
passed more of the
You
dumpling.
like it in the can shape, the authentic cranberry
Thanks everybody
sauce?
for joining us on
good,
this Sunday. Don't forget, Martha's got a big show coming up on this week. Dan,
Oh, wow, good.
No.
we're proud of you. You want to wave? Bye, everybody. Have a good day.